Well, hello, fam. It's your girl, Natalie, the Keto Bikini Pro. I'm not showing my biceps tonight. Welcome to Monday Live Masterclass, where tonight we are talking about the winter blues. That time of year has arrived where it's cold, it's dark, we're inside more, we are sedentary more. We tend to be more sedentary. We can be more isolated. Although right about now, Christmas week, you might be very, very social, and that could be draining for you depending on who you are. Some of us get more energy from being social. Some of us get more energy from recharging. But hey, before I dive into everything, let's talk a little bit about what this topic is, what we're going to dive into tonight. And if you are on the live chat with me, drop a comment. Hi, Diane. Drop a comment. Let me know you're here live. All right. So, winter blues. If you are one of my ladies who experiences the winter blues, feeling more tired, less motivated, and like your discipline just disappears at this time of the year, I want you to hear this first. Nothing is wrong with you. This is not a mindset problem. It's not because you suddenly lost willpower. Lower light literally changes how our brains, hormones, sleep, and motivation work. And for women over 40, 50, 60, that effect is even stronger. Every winter, I see the same thing happen to strong, disciplined women over 40, my clients. Motivation drops, energy tanks, and suddenly you start questioning everything you're doing or why you're not doing it like you used to. I was able to do this in the summer. I was able to do this last year. Why am I not doing it now? Well, in this masterclass tonight, I'm going to break down why the winter blues are biological, not a personal failure, and show you how to support your body and your nervous system during the winter months so you don't lose momentum with your health and fitness goals. So if winter always knocks you off track and you're ready to make this winter the winter that you stop fighting against your body and start working with it, stay with me. You're in the right place. Let's dive in. Let's say hello to those on the live. Erin is with us. Celeste is with us. Deb, Diane. Awesome, awesome. Cheers to you all. So some of y'all who are in the academy heard me talk a little bit about the light concept, the light portion of this topic in our feedback the other week. And I said, I'm now inspired to do a whole masterclass on it. Let's dive into it deeper on a masterclass. So, Gabby, I'm so glad you're here. She says, oh, Ish, I made it. You made it, Mama. I'm so glad you're here because I think this is going to be a great one for you. I know you're going to be all over this one. So first, let's dive into why you can stop beating yourself up over not having the discipline, not being able to get back to the habits you had in the summertime when it's in the winter. You're not going to hear me talk about toxic positivity, pushing harder, forcing discipline, go hard or go home. That's not what this class is all about. So, first things first, light. I got my bright light on right now. It's probably messing with my circadian rhythm, but it's so that you can see me because it's so dark. Light is a biological input. Lack of light affects our circadian rhythm, which affects our sleep quality, which affects our appetite regulation. All of that affects our mood. So the snowball rolls down the hill. So light is a biological input, not a mindset issue. So if you are wondering why all of a sudden Everything feels harder to do right now. And you're not getting outdoors and getting the light that you got and getting the sun that you got in the summer and the fall. Boom. There you go. Deb, I'm so glad you're on. Another Deb is on. She says, thank you for talking about the light. Deb, you are the inspiration for this masterclass. Thank you for showing up. Ladies, for those of you that don't know, these masterclasses are most of the time inspired by you. A question that you ask in the academy, in private coaching, or here on YouTube in the comments on my Instagram. You guys are how I get inspired to talk about something. So thank you, Deb, because I know a lot of people will benefit because you asked that question, which led to tonight. So yeah, light. Lack of light is literally affecting us negatively in a myriad of ways. I'm not the science evidence-based person who's going to spout studies. Okay, so I'm not going to dive deep. I do have a resource I'm going to share with you from one of my favorite YouTube channels, a therapist by the name of, I'll go ahead and drop it now, and then I'm also going to drop it in the description below. Emma McAdam, Therapy in a Nutshell is her YouTube channel. I'm always encouraging my clients to go check her out. I am going to include a link in the description after the live for a video she did on this topic, seasonal affective disorder and winter blues treatment options. And she's going to talk about light therapy. She dives a little bit deeper into the stats and the science. So if you want to dig deeper and really go down that rabbit hole, that'll be a great video to watch. So ultimately, the big picture to remember here is that the fact that we're not getting the same kind of light, we're not getting as much light, we're not getting the same kind of light that we get in the summertime, in the fall, in the spring, when we can get outside and see the sun, expose our skin and our eyes to the sun, however little or however much. There's just more daylight, right? There's more daylight in those seasons. Congratulations. One thing I can encourage you all, we are now past the winter solstice. That was yesterday, the darkest day of the year for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere. From today on, we're getting 90 seconds more of light in our day. So if that's a little soundbite you can jump onto to give you a little bit of hope and expectation that we're pulling out of it, we are now past the darkest day of the year. So apologies to those of you in parts of Alaska that deal with darkness a whole lot more than we do. In fact, any of my Alaskan friends out there who might be watching, if you have tips for how you beat the winter blues, because you deal with it a lot more of the year than the rest of us do, please drop comments. Let us know what you suggest and what do you do to keep yourself more motivated, inspired, and in a better mood. All right. So here's some tips, some things you can do to improve the light exposure. Oh, Karen is on. Hello, Karen. Better late than never. You're not that late. I just dove in. So a few things you can do for the light. Really important, get outside. Get outside for any length of time during daylight. It doesn't have to be a sunny day. It doesn't have to be, the sun doesn't actually have to be shining. It can be a cloudy day. It could be overcast. But during light hours, get yourself outside. It's a lot more challenging to do it in the winter because it is colder. It's less pleasant. But for example, before our masterclass tonight, and this story I'm going to share actually connects to a lot of the tips that I'm going to share tonight. It kind of checked a lot of boxes all at once. I had intended to do a gym training session today. I was writing our new program that will be launching in January. And this week is the week that I'm testing the program. So as it sometimes happens, I am writing a workout on the day that I need to do the workout. So I was running short on time, and I was thinking about time to make it to the gym, time to make it back, time to do the workout. And oops, I forgot to take anything out of the freezer for dinner. So I also don't have dinner prepared. So instead, I thought, I'll just go to Whole Foods. It's around the corner. And then I looked outside and said, wait a minute, how cold is it right now? It's actually not as cold as it has been the previous week. It's warmed up a little bit into the 40s. So it's not unbearably cold. It wasn't super windy or rainy today. So I bundled up, put on my big coat, put on 2 pairs of socks and my boots. Some of y'all who live in Northern Canada, Alaska are laughing at me right now that I'm bundling up so much for 43 degrees. And some of you, I'm looking at you, Gab, down in Miami, are like, yeah, girl, I would be bundling up and wearing a blanket on top of that. You feel me? So I decided to walk to Whole Foods. It's 10, 12-minute walk one way, the other way back. So I knew, I'll get a great 20-minute, 25-minute walk in my day. I would much rather do that than get on the treadmill. I just started my competition prep for 2026. So it is time to start adding cardio. I wasn't looking forward to it. I knew it was either going to be this or treadmill at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. So perfect opportunity to get outside. I can't tell you how happy I was that I did that. The cool, fresh air in my face, the bright light. It was actually somewhat sunny today as well. So I even got a little bit of sun, but it just felt so good to get out there and get that brisk walk. And I need to do that more often. That's something I personally know that I need to do. If I don't have somewhere to go, and this is probably the way most of us do it in the winter, if we don't have somewhere to be or somewhere we have to go to do an errand, we are staying in the house. And that is a major contributor to the low mood, the poor sleep, the cravings, all of these things. So get outdoors. Here's a little challenge you can give yourselves to get outdoors 5 to 15 minutes a day minimum. Take a walk, just take your coffee outside. I have a balcony, so that's another thing. In the spring and the fall and the summer, until it gets unbearably hot, I will sit out there with my coffee in the morning. So I've closed up the chairs, but doing this masterclass for y'all tonight is also making me think, you know what, I need to take those chairs out and just take my coffee outside, even if it's just for a few minutes. So the tip here is don't wait for sunny. Brightness still counts, and nothing is a full replacement for natural light. So get outside, even if it's for a short period of time. For those of you with dogs, you already have that built in. There is no question about it. You're getting outside because you got your dogs. Optional tools you can use, and Celeste mentions that she has one of these, a happy lamp, a happy light. You can get light boxes. This particular ring light I have is very similar. I had a light box in our old place, and I don't know where it went in the move. So that's another thing I can pull out, but this works very similarly. So bright indoor lighting is not a full perfect replacement for natural light. Still encourage getting outside and getting natural light at any time of the day while it's bright outside that you can. But light boxes can be a really great help for people. So yes, happy lamps, happy lights, bright indoor lighting during your morning routine. So that's one of the first things I do when I wake up in the morning. Turn on the brightest light, open the windows, whether or not the sun is up yet or not. Turn on as many lights as I can, get light in my eyes early in the day. And the earlier in the day that you can do it, the better. That is going to help reset your circadian rhythm. And then at night, I'm breaking this rule right now with this ring light, dimming those lights. Now this actually has a setting on it that I can turn it to this very different reddish yellow light. So I usually do that when I'm just working on my computer in the evening, and I don't need to be on video. Then I'll turn it to the dimmer light. I will turn down the light on the screen of the computer. So using light to your advantage in the morning, and then also using light to your advantage in the evening. Many of you like to do red light therapy or wear blue blocking glasses in the evening. So setting that circadian rhythm in the morning and as early in the day as possible to get outside or get some bright light in your eyes, and then doing the opposite in the evening. Here's your little motivational quote for this one. Light exposure is like hydration for your brain. And y'all know I like to stay hydrated. So, I love this, what Keto Warrior, this is Sly, just shared. I love the tanning bed. Eek. Okay, I wouldn't include the eek. I am a tanning bed girly myself, and I just started going again after quite a while of not going. And I was just chatting, I think, with Coach Mary Grace about this, that it's a mood booster for me. I love feeling the warmth on my skin. It feels like being outside on the beach, so I can close my eyes and imagine that. To avoid more germs, I've been using the stand-up beds, and the stand-up beds at my gym, I actually have them at my gym. For those of you who are Planet Fitness members, you can see if your gym has been upgraded, but they have these hybrid stand-up beds that have red light as well as the UV lights in there. So you're kind of getting a little boost there as well. So yeah, I don't necessarily think that there's anything terribly wrong with tanning. I'm not going to dive too deep into that, but we've been taught to shield ourselves and hide ourselves from the sun, cover our skin with chemicals to protect ourselves from the sun. And I'm a believer that those chemicals we're putting on our skin and then going out into the sun with those chemicals and having that absorbed into our skin is creating more problems than just being in the sun would have. Obviously, we don't want to overdo it, but I'm a fan of a tanning bed in the winter. So you're not going to hear me tell you not to do it. Just like I'm not going to take your coffee away from you either. I'm not the one. All right, so that's the light conversation, which is the most important piece, in my opinion, because it does have those downstream effects to everything else. And I've said it talking about, probably inside the academy, about menopause and perimenopause and the things that we go through during that shift, that transition. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to hear women in peri and postmenopause say they can't sleep. And I think, and I don't believe that there have been any studies, because I don't know how you would parse this. I don't think you could parse it out. You couldn't isolate the variables. But I truly believe that the poor sleep is one of the main drivers of a lot of the other negative impacts that you deal with going through peri and postmenopause. So if we could fix the sleep, I think we could fix that, would have massive benefits downstream to all those other symptoms. So light is such a driver of our sleep rhythm and our circadian rhythm, our sleep cycles, that I would say is the most important, because if you can dial in the light and that improves your sleep, that will improve everything else. Do I have sleep on here separately? Let's see. I think I'll probably circle back to the sleep conversation quite a few times. All right. So number 2 is a practical tip for low mood, low motivation. Anchor your day. Anchor your day with non-negotiables. Consider this: when mood is low, decision fatigue skyrockets. When you're in a low mood, and somebody asks you a question, asks you about anything, really, you want to bite their head off, and you can't think straight, and you can't make solid decisions. So when you're not motivated, you're not inspired, you're not feeling like doing anything, this is where if we create some anchor habits, habit stacking is another way of terming this, but a couple of daily anchors to help you stay consistent throughout this season. Something in your morning, something in your evening. If everything goes to shit in the middle of the day, at least you have your morning anchor and your evening anchor. And if those two things can stay solid, then you're in a much better position for the rest of the day. So, for example, a short walk. Maybe you take a morning walk or an evening walk. Like I said, I'm about to start doing my cardio consistently. And the best way to stay consistent with any habit is to do it at the same time every day. If it's a daily habit and you're doing it every day, this is where they say that whole 21 days to create a habit, right? Because of repetition. Repetition is what creates that habit. So if you can anchor a positive habit in the morning and in the evening that care for your well-being, care for your mental state, care for your body, all of the above, pick your anchors. For me, and this will come back up again somewhere else as well, one of the things that I've committed to, and I've always been a big fan of the Advent season, before Christmas in the liturgical calendar. I love the Advent season. It's the season of waiting. It's the season of slowing down. And I almost like it better than, a lot of people, religious people, spiritual people love Lent because it's like so focused. It's very similar. It's like, okay, you know what it is? It's the driven people who always want to challenge, right? Who always want to be doing more. I used to be that person. I was like, oh, I love Lent because Lent is a time I can challenge myself and sacrifice. And, it was almost like I had to check myself that I wasn't doing it for the wrong reasons. There were many years I did my Lenten sacrifices for the wrong reasons because it was more like a personal development challenge. Well, that's not what it's intended to be. It absolutely will create personal development, but the focus shouldn't be on us. Anyway, I digress. Advent, similar idea, but I love this season even more because it's really about slowing down and focusing on the reason for the season. So I committed this year during Advent to pray more, and not just pray more frequently or spend more minutes of my day praying, but being more intentional with my prayer time, because my morning anchor for the longest time has been a prayer and meditation time. Sit down in my favorite spot. I have my coffee, I have my devotional, and that might change, but most of the time for the last 7 years, 8 years, I've had the same devotional I run through every year. And then I might add things to it at different seasons. So this season I had my little blue book for Advent. And I have this amazing app for anybody who's interested. It's called Hallow. Love this app. It's Catholic, but even if you're not Catholic, you can probably get a lot out of it. They do these challenges at different parts of the year. And so they're doing this Pray 25, I think it's called, challenge during Advent. And I've been getting so much out of it. It has been incredible to just commit to being more present during my prayer time. That was the real commitment there, is being more present during my prayer time, which means silence, stillness, not trying to do 10 things all at once, write a social media post, check my inbox, all of those things. That time is now held sacred. So that is my morning anchor that I have now recommitted to, and it's become much more solid than it was before. And it's the perfect kind of anchor I can use in the winter time because it doesn't require me to get outside and take a walk in the morning. You just heard me kind of walk through my process. Okay, if I want to get more sunlight, it makes more sense for me to go out on the balcony with my coffee than to try to expect myself to have this massive goal. And we're going to get to that in a little bit as well. reassessing your expectations, because that's another thing that can really help you stop beating yourself up during this season for what you're not doing, because you're making these massive goals that don't really align with the season. So find your anchors. Maybe it's a short walk. Maybe it's a prayer time in the morning. Maybe it's a devotional. Another thing that I do in the morning is Wim Hof breathing. I've taken that back up after years. I used to have a breathing practice, a breath work practice. And I listen to this Wim Hof guided breathing session every morning. I have my whole process. I have my, daily affirmation that I put on YouTube. Play that first. That runs for 15 minutes. And when that finishes, it goes straight to Wim Hof. Everything's in a little playlist on my YouTube, so it just goes through it. So then I'm doing the Wim Hof breathing as I'm going through my morning routine, making my coffee, and then it's prayer and meditation time. That is sacred time. That doesn't change unless for some reason I have to be up at a crazy hour to catch a flight or go get blood work or something different. And then I will either have to back up my wake up time or shift the schedule so that that time still stays sacred. It just may need to be moved to a different time of the day. Okay, other things you could do is morning protein. You can make a protein coffee. You can have a little breakfast with your coffee. Have yourself a solid, hearty breakfast. That could be your morning anchor. Having coffee with your spouse or a friend or a loved one. Nighttime, bedtime, wind down ritual. If you do not have one, this is incredibly powerful. Every single time I find myself, and this happens much more in the wintertime, zoning out on Netflix and then getting into bed, I'm not going to sleep as well. I'm not going to get to sleep as easily. Too much blue light, too much stimulation in my eyes and in my ears right before bed. So create your wind down ritual. Have those anchors, whatever those might be for you. For some of my clients, some of their best days are that sacred family dinner time that they don't always have, but a couple of times a week, they have that time, and it's one of the best parts of their day. So do a little brainstorming, create your anchors. You don't need the perfect day. You just need your anchors. That's number 2. All right, number 3, train for mood, not just physique. Winter is not the time to rely on aesthetic motivation. For most of us, this is not the season. This is the first time I have ever started a prep before New Year. Almost always, my preps have begun January or February or March or April for my competitions. This is the first time I'm actually needing to flip that switch and get into the mindset of being on prep and focusing on physique goals in December. And it feels very different. Typically, this time of year is not the time we're thinking about our summer bod, and we're super motivated by thinking about our summer bod. For many of us, thinking about our physique at this time of year is not motivating. It's draining. We're wearing leggings and boots and sweaters, and we're not even thinking about bikinis and shorts and tank tops. For some of you, by all means, if that's a motivator for you, and it actually does motivate you, by all means, because we are individuals. And what motivates one person may not motivate somebody else. But if you are finding yourself struggling to stick to your consistent, healthy habits, your nutrition, your training, all those habits that you created that you were better at sticking to in the summer, and you're having a hard time now, it may be that you are tunnel visioning into an aesthetic goal. And when aesthetics is the only goal, 9 times out of 10, I'll tell you, you're not going to do it just for that. Your body is not enough of a motivator. This is where we dig into the bigger why. So let's think about some reframes for the aesthetic body goals focus. When you're going to do your workouts, your movement, your activity, your exercise, whatever it is that you do for exercise, here's some reframes. This workout is for my mood and nervous system. This walk is for my mood and nervous system. So whatever your particular activity level or activity is, I'm borrowing energy from movement, not spending it. So it's not about burning calories, losing body fat, burning fat through our workouts. It's about gaining energy from our workouts. How many of you have experienced low motivation going into the gym, going into a workout, walking out of a workout, you feel amazing? Movement creates energy. It's not the other way around. Oh, I don't have the energy for my workout. If you worked out, you'd have the energy. 9 times out of 10. Now, this may not be the same advice I would give for some of you who are overdoing it. I'm really talking to the people who get more sedentary in the wintertime with this tip about pushing yourself to train. Like I said, today, instead of training, because it would have been a stressor to me to go to the gym and try to get in this full training session, in between this call, dinner, other appointments, would have been a struggle, would have been stressful. But that walk I took outside was liberating, freeing. It felt so good, energetic. I felt a million times better when I got home just from getting outside and getting that movement. So I think I have this in here a little bit later too. Yes, in the adjusting expectations section. But we may need to shift what we're doing. So it may not always be a balls to the walls, I'm hitting personal bests in the gym today. It's just about moving our body and getting the blood flowing. Celeste says, I was just thinking how I will be happy if I get through the holidays at maintenance weight. Exactly, though. Exactly. That's going to be another big one in the adjusting expectations piece. This season, if you do go through the holidays, get through the winter, and you didn't put on 20 pounds, you're ahead of the curve. So the goals in this season, rather than getting more shredded than you've ever been before, the goals are more aligned for maintenance. All right, let's see. Some adjustments you can make to your training during this season. Lower the volume. Don't do as many sets. Don't lift as heavy loads if you don't have it. Lower the intensity or the volume if needed. If you're one of those people who does a lot of cardio, like HIIT cardio, pull that back. Maybe do some lifts, some low intensity steady state. I love the suggestion of keeping the frequency, but shortening your sessions, pulling back on the volume, but keeping that habit in place. Having this particular time that is your time for exercise, keeping that sacred, but maybe using it for something else, using it for mobility work, for flexibility, doing some stretching, some foam rolling, some recovery activities for your body. Things that are moving, but are not as intense. Let's see. For my cardio bunnies, you could use this season to dive into and embrace strength training rather than burning the candle at both ends with intense cardio or long duration cardio. A lot of my ladies, in fact, I have some new clients who've come to me who have let go of their running, not doing as much running because they're not outside. This is the season that they decided they were going to commit to strength training. A lot of my ladies love to get outside and do hiking and biking and running And endurance sports in the summertime, in spring, summer, fall, when the weather's nice, but in the wintertime, they're like, you know what, now I can double down on my training, my strength training. I already mentioned it, but using walks or easy cardio for mental clarity and not calorie burn. Bronson and I talked about step counts the other day on our coffee chat. And I'm not against using step counts, but we need to use them for the right purposes. I love step counts, counting steps, tracking your steps as a means of determining, am I too sedentary? Right? Oh, look, my step counting is incredibly low today. That means I've been sitting on my butt all day. Where can I find opportunities to get up more often? I love movement snacks, movement breaks, where you're just getting up and moving in the middle of your day. Having the luxury of working from home, which I do recognize as a privilege, I will get up and throw some laundry in. I do not do my laundry on the weekends. I do not wait to do things around the house on the weekends because I'm working here in between appointments, in between projects. I get up, maybe I'll run the dishwasher, maybe I'll put the dishes away, maybe I'll put the laundry away, maybe I'll change the sheets. There, ladies, y'all know there's always something to do around the house. Just getting up throughout the day to do one task at a time and then sitting again and then getting up again. It's a great way to keep yourself moving throughout the day without having to do something structured. So I'm a big fan of that. Incorporate it into your day. I always use the analogy. What are you going to do when you're 80? Are you going to go have a structured 1-hour cardio session? No. But if you've stayed mobile throughout your life by being active in your day-to-day life, you will keep doing that when you're 80, or like my great-grandmother was 90-something years old, getting up on ladders, climbing the step stool, and sitting on the floor with us baking Greek pastries. If you stay mobile, you will be mobile in your older age, and you will stay active. All right, let's see. Train for mood, not just physique. Okay. Number 4, eat to stabilize mood and energy, not to restrict. Eat to stabilize mood and energy, not to restrict. Low mood plus low light plus restriction equals burnout. So, for the grand majority of us, I would say this is the time of year to, once again, I was talking about aesthetics and maybe letting go of these big fat loss goals, being in a fat loss phase, trying to get shredded. It's really not the best season for that. Can you do it right now? Sure. But maybe now's the time to focus on recomp. My favorite thing, my favorite topic, recomp for life. I really believe the grand majority of us just need to be focused on recomp forever and never have to go through another fat loss phase and building phase ever again, because recomp is building, recomp is fat loss, but it's sustainable. It's something you can build into your lifestyle and just do it for the rest of your life and make incremental changes forever and always get better, always improve without drastic changes like major restriction or now surplus consuming, over consuming, which those things put major stress on our bodies when we're going back and forth all the time. It is not healthy for bodybuilders to do it. I would not cut and build if I wasn't competing. It would just be it would be a maintenance recomp life. So eat to stabilize mood and energy, meaning eat to fuel your daily activity, eat to fuel your brain, eat to build your body, build the tissues of your body, build your muscles, build your nervous system. Literally, you're building Every tissue of your body is building every organ and every system of your body. Rethink the way you look at food. If you're looking at food as macros and calories, that ain't it, y'all. Food is not just macros and calories. In fact, food is not macros and calories. Macros and calories are systems of measurement, units of measurement, and systems that we've put in place to try to understand the value of these foods to our bodies. But the true value of food in our bodies is the nutrients, the nutrition. There are a million processes, some that we know, many that we probably still don't know, that the particles of these foods and what they're doing inside our bodies to keep us thriving and healthy. I had this thought the other day, like, wow, how many of us are really looking at our food as for what it really is? It's nourishment. It's life-giving. It's so much more than an energy currency. It's not even an energy currency. Bronson would tell you, food is not energy. ATP is energy. Pieces and portions of the food get used by the body, and then the body converts ADP into ATP for energy. That's not food. Man, I need to do a masterclass on deep nutrition, like what the nutrients are actually doing in our bodies. It would be, okay, now I'm getting really geeked about that. That has to happen. That'll happen in the new year. I'm putting that on the list. All right, so here's some things to think about as you consider your nutrition and nourishing yourself. Underfueling worsens winter fatigue and mood. Protein and adequate fuel, adequate energy, protein, basically protein, fats, and carbs, are emotional regulation tools. Think about that. Food as an emotional regulation tool, not food for emotional reasons. I'm turning to food, I'm turning to eating to avoid my emotions, as I always tell you about emotional eating, but actually giving your body the nutrients it needs helps you regulate your emotions better. So when we're turning to comfort foods or junk foods for what we think is emotional regulation, that is not emotional regulation. That is emotional abandonment. We are avoiding our emotions by stuffing down junk foods. And then those junk foods and the crap that those things are doing in our body, because food is not neutral. You either have nutrients coming in to do amazing things inside your body, or you have garbage going in and destroying your body, poisoning your body. So there's a huge difference between comfort foods and emotional eating, as we call it, and actually eating nutrient-dense whole foods, protein, carbs, and fats in their natural states that actually support mental, physical, emotional well-being from the inside out. Totally different ballgame. All right, here's the next one. Warm, nourishing meals support adherence. So in the wintertime, what do we love to do? Eat warm meals, chilies and soups and stews, and heat these. You know, I love the warming spices. And there's actually, oh my gosh, I won't even say it correctly if I try to, but Chinese medicine, there's a lot in Chinese medicine about warming spices and warming herbs versus cooling and what these different elements do in your body. It's fascinating. I should bring on an expert to talk about that, because that is pretty cool. But especially when you're feeling the need, if you're feeling the need for comfort foods, make yourself a nourishing, warm chili or stew or soup. There is nothing more comforting to me than when I make my poor person's or lazy person's avgolemono. Greek, it's a Greek lemon soup. Lemon, eggs, lamb, dill. It makes me feel like I'm back at my grandmother's house. It's one of the most comforting things, and it is incredibly nourishing. So we have got to stop associating comfort with junk. We need to change that association. Junk foods are not comforting, they're poisoning. Real comfort food is nourishing food, nutrient-dense food. Ooh, this is a good one. Celeste says, I've always explained to my daughter how excess sugar makes her emotional, because it does. She fully gets it and regulates on her own without restricting it. That's amazing. When we can understand, when we can really understand what these foods are doing to us or for us. I always talk about this food existing on a spectrum. It's not just black and white. It's not good and bad. It's not, this is keto and that's not keto and I'm not allowed to have, and that's bad. And it's just on a spectrum. There are more healthy, life-giving, nourishing foods, and there are pure junk that I wouldn't even consider food. And then there's a whole gamut of things in between. So when we fear carbs because all carbs are bad, strawberries and blueberries and even bananas and apples and sweet potatoes are not doing the same thing as apple pie and sweet potato pie and banana pudding and strawberry shortcake. That's a whole different ballgame. So we need to stop equating all carbs in the same category. They're not. And most junk food is not just carbs. It's carbs plus fat plus a whole lot of chemical soup. So that is a soapbox I have been on many, many times. All right, adequate electrolytes. Adequate electrolytes matter more in the winter. Oh my gosh, I don't know about y'all, but I am moisturizing like 3 times a day. It just gets dry in the winter. My skin gets so dry. How many of y'all deal with cracked lips, dry skin in the winter? Hydration. And I just ran out of my water because I killed it today. I cannot get enough water these days. So water and electrolytes, managing your electrolytes. This has been a hot topic inside the academy lately. I'm talking with a lot of the ladies about dialing in and figuring out the right sodium to potassium balance with the right amount of water for them, because it is very unique to the individual. But we don't want to be dehydrated. Electrolytes are literally the chemical, really they're conduits. I guess that's probably the best way to say it. They're like electrical signals in our body. Without proper minerals, mineral balance, electrolytes being the big ones, we cannot function well. This is where all of the keto flu symptoms that we're all familiar with, the headaches and the heart palpitations and the muscle spasms and cramps, fatigue, low mood, intense hunger and cravings, a lot of that can be managed with proper electrolyte balance. Sodium, potassium, magnesium. And sodium being the big one on keto, because we are not holding on to it, where it's very difficult for our bodies to hold on to water on keto. And holding water is not a bad thing. We need to be hydrated. Our cells need to be hydrated. Carbohydrates keep our cells hydrated. When we stop eating carbs, what happens? We see a big whoosh on the scale. Why? Because we lose water weight. That's not the kind of weight we want to lose, y'all. We want to lose body fat. We don't want to lose water weight. So we need to replenish You know, one thing I've been noticing on my scale lately, when my sodium is low, my lean mass shows up lower. The scale is telling me I have less muscle mass when I have lower sodium because it is reading the fact that my muscles have less water in their cells. My muscles are less hydrated. This is one of the reasons why bodybuilders and people who are pro-carb, high-carb diets tell you you have to have carbs and you're not going to be able to build muscle without carbs because of the whole dehydrating effect. So we can do something about that by making sure that we get enough electrolytes. So don't slack on your hydration just because it's winter. And here's a great little tip for that one. Make hot beverages. If you're cold and you don't want to be sipping cold water all day, drink lukewarm water with lemon, electrolytes that make it more tasty, and drink hot tea, decaf coffee, hot chocolate with chocolate electrolytes. My favorite happened to be salt of the earth chocolate. Amazing. Tastes like hot cocoa. I think I have a link below somewhere. Anyways, I digress. Let's see. Okay, so here's the little soundbite here. Fueling yourself is part of mental health, not separate from it. Support your mental health by nourishing your body. All right, I'm going to try not to make this too fast. I'm going to try not to go too fast through these last ones because, I'm talking a lot. All right, number 5, use structure when motivation is low. So similar to the concept of anchoring your day, we all know motivation is unreliable, but systems and habits are reliable. So what do we always say? Motivation doesn't last. This is why we have to have discipline. Create systems. Some of the simplest ways to create systems: planning your meals ahead of time, meal prep, meal planning and meal prep. If you track macros, plugging it in advance, plugging it in the night before, or copy pasting the day before, and then make little changes as you go. Planning your meals ahead, scheduling your workouts in the calendar. My training is always scheduled in my calendar, and if I need to move it around, I have a time slot I can move around, but it is in there, committed. A lot of you have social events right now, so get ahead of it. This is something we talk about inside the Academy a lot. How are you getting ahead of what's coming up this week? Look to the week ahead. What do I need to plan for? What is my plan? Make a plan. Don't ever go into an event, a holiday event, without a plan. We talked a little bit about habit stacking, but maybe you stack something with your morning coffee, like I mentioned, stack something with brushing your teeth. That's when I listen to my morning affirmations, and I do my stretches during that time. So stack things, stack habits, new habits with consistent, strong, old habits. Usually it's things like that we're going to do every single day, like brushing our teeth, or easy things to add something else in the mix there. Let's see. Yeah, you don't need motivation. You need fewer decisions. So limit that decision fatigue by making the decisions in advance, having everything ready, and then all you have to do is execute the plan. That was a quick one. All right. Number 6. This is the one I mentioned multiple times already. Adjust expectations seasonally. This is a good time to shift from shoulding all over yourself. I should be pushing harder. I should be doing more. I should, to what does appropriate effort look like for me right now? I'm going to say this one again so you can write it down or come back to it. Adjusting expectations. Shift from I should be XYZ to what does appropriate effort look like for me right now? Many of our ladies in the Academy have not been doing their workouts, struggling to get back to their workouts. Well, The way to get back is to pick something and do it. And I'm going to shout out Celeste, my Beef Balanced Life, because I know she did that this week, recovering from being sick. She wasn't feeling it, wasn't motivated. So she just went and did some stuff. Bench. She loves to bench. So she benched, right? It was like, instead of looking at the program and telling yourself you have to do what's on the program, just get up and move your body. Make that first baby step back. That's the best way to come back. Don't set these high expectations of, now I'm behind and our program is 4 days of strength training and it's already Wednesday and I haven't done anything. So now I have to fit in 4 days between Wednesday and Saturday. There are not 4 days between Wednesday and Saturday, and you don't have to make it all up, and you don't have to catch up from where you were before and do everything you missed last week. You just start again. Pick up from here and do what's manageable. Appropriate effort. What is the appropriate effort right now? For me, it was a walk today. Tomorrow, I have more freedom of time to be able to get in the whole training. And then she tells me she did a whole hour-and-a-half workout. Yikes. I hope your body is okay with you doing that after being sick. But that just goes to show that when we do start moving our body, that's where the motivation and the energy comes from. She got into that workout and probably felt pretty damn good and then wanted to keep going. 9 times out of 10, that's what's going to happen. The hard part is just taking that first step. So ladies, if you haven't been doing it and you don't know how to get back to it, just get back to it. It's as simple as that. It doesn't have to be as complicated or overwhelming as you're making it in your mind. All right. So winter goals that you could set that might help with motivation, that might feel more motivating to you than the aesthetic goals, than the outcome goals, or the big, massive, audacious goals. Maintain strength. Maybe your goal is to maintain strength and not to try and push for PRs. I love this next one. This is my favorite one. This is what I'm really harping on a lot inside the Academy right now, and we will be diving so much deeper in January as well. Improve your form. I would encourage everyone to take a season, to take a phase, a training block, and just focus on form. Forget about weight, forget about sets and reps and tracking all of that and worrying about all of that, and just saying, hey, I'm going to master the movements. That's what we say inside the Academy. My real goal for everyone is to master the movements. If you are not doing it correctly, this is what will lead to injuries down the line and will take you out of the game for a lot longer than you want to be out. So improve form. This is a great season for that. Practice form and not stress over the numbers. Winter goal, another winter goal, stay consistent. Keep up with the frequency. Like I said, pull back on the intensity. Maybe your winter goal is to protect your sleep. Create that sleep routine and start sticking to it. Reduce all or nothing thinking, my favorite thing in the world. Start challenging the thoughts that come up that are all or nothing. I can't, I'm too tired today, so I can't do it at all. Or I don't know where to start, so I'll wait till tomorrow. All of these are self-sabotaging thoughts. Start to learn to identify the all or nothing thinking and offer alternatives. I've done masterclasses on this before, so I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but your language says so much. This is why I love journaling and I love coaching check-ins, because I can see written words and it tells me a lot about what's behind those words. And then we have something we can dig into. So if you can start to catch the thoughts and the words that you're using, you can start challenging those thoughts and finding reframes for them and learning to shift your thinking. Okay. Oh, this is awesome. I got to share this. Erin says, Celeste actually got me back on track when I fell off last year. Just starting with 1 or 2 moves, it worked. Oh my gosh. See, this is what community is all about, y'all. You don't even know sometimes when you're inspiring somebody else with what you're sharing. And how about that? That just leads into number 7 perfectly. I love y'all. Increase connection, even when you don't feel like it. This is something I'm working with some clients on as well. This struggle with being social, because so many of us are so isolated and we're introverted, or we're awkward, or we don't feel comfortable with people we don't know very well. So maybe going to all of these extended family gatherings or work celebrations for the holidays and all of these things is just not really our thing. But isolation worsens low mood, and winter typically encourages isolation. So when we do have opportunities to connect, I'm a huge fan of not shrinking your life. This is something I talk about a lot when it comes to nutrition and fitness. Just because we have a goal, just because we are healthy and fit and we like to train, we like to work out, we like to eat healthy, doesn't mean we need to be isolated. I have an incredible client I'm working with one-on-one who had a massive, massive goal that completely has changed her life. She lost 300 pounds, y'all. That requires an incredible lifestyle change, mindset change. And as you can imagine, it changes relationships. For nearly a decade, she isolated herself to achieve that goal. And now we're working together and she's making incredible strides on reigniting connections, being present in social situations with family members, with loved ones. Even when it's uncomfortable, learning to navigate those situations, learning to navigate boundaries, honoring her own needs, and holding space and holding boundaries while still having these relationships, developing relationships, cultivating relationships. Y'all, that's the challenging thing. That's usually one of the most challenging things for most of my clients who are making lifestyle changes. It's not easy to isolate yourself and do all of that, but in many ways, isolating can be easier than facing and being present with others while we're still working toward what we're working toward and holding strong in our own convictions. But if we have to, I've said this many times in many videos, you've heard it before, if we have to live our lives in straitjackets with padded walls, that's not freedom. And then our healthy lifestyle, our fitness goals, they're not improving our life. They're shrinking our lives. So how can you increase connection this winter season, even when you don't feel like it? Maybe you invite a friend to train with you, work out together, go for a walk with your spouse. Maybe you have an accountability buddy that you text, just one other person who gets it and will help hold you accountable. The best way, I think, especially for us introverts, I know you don't believe I'm an introvert, but I promise you I am. Bronson can tell you. Join an online community. This is what I love about having an online community. We can chat with each other like we've known each other our entire lives. We feel like we've known each other our entire lives. We feel so connected. And we can share openly and vulnerably and honestly with each other. And we receive nothing but support and love and encouragement and guidance and tough love when we need it. And we don't have to be physically in that person's space. So find an online community that you connect with. Hopefully, I'll invite you into ours if you're not in ours yet. But I have to say the Keto Bikini crowd, tribe, squad, it's a pretty special one. It's a pretty amazing one. So whether you join us in the Facebook group for the free community, or you join us in the academy for added accountability, coaching, support, education, all of that, connect with us. We're here for you. Let's see. Ask yourself, how can I stay more connected? And then take action on the thing that comes up for you. And then number 8, this is the bonus one. This is my personal commitment and focus area this winter. And I mentioned my prayer time, so this connects with that. Embrace the space. Create more opportunities for silence and stillness without filling the space with noise, with distractions, with stimulation, single tasking. Trim the fat from your calendar or your to-do list. Look at the tasks and the chores and the appointments and look and ask yourself, what can go? I've been doing a lot of that lately. I've been planning to make my latest version of protein bread with banana. I made one batch. Bronson ate almost all of it immediately. It was really yummy. But I need to test a couple, another version of it. I was going to do it over the weekend, but I had bigger priorities. And when it came down to it, 8 o'clock at night, I'm tired. I'd rather relax. I said, you know what? I don't have to do that today. It's not that serious. Ask yourself, what's not that serious that I was trying to make so important that it had to be done? And I'm gonna challenge some of y'all. I'm seeing a lot about baking for the holiday season. A lot of you who are keto, carnivore, low carb, baking standard American diet stuff for your families because you're the one that has to do it, or you're the one that they expect to do it. I had this chat with a client the other day about this, and she said, this is the last time. This year she's doing a mix, half and half, regular and keto desserts. And she said, next year, it's not going to be my responsibility anymore. I'm going to put my foot down. So I want to challenge y'all. Why does it have to be that way? Is it just because that's always the way it's been? For most of us who've gone keto, carnivore, we had to make a change at some point in the way we were doing things for ourselves. We didn't just do what we always did anymore. When we decided that we were going to be low carb, keto, carnivore, gluten-free, Aaron, oh my goodness, I can only imagine when you first started that, right? There was this discomfort that you had to have at the beginning when you had to figure out a different way to do things. But y'all, the holidays seem to have a chokehold on some of you. Well, of course, I have to bake the Christmas cookies. I have to bake this for the family. I have to be the one to bring this special dessert everybody's expecting. And sometimes it's not even this one special dessert. It's like all the desserts. And now you're subjecting yourself to days on end of baking stuff you wouldn't eat, that now you're tempted by it by baking it all day. And then you're also going to be tempted by it, bringing it to the event. And now you're struggling, or you cave because you put yourself in that position, and you put yourself in that position. It's time to start asking, what can I do differently? What do I need to do differently if I want to have the lifestyle and the results that I'm looking for? So challenge yourself on that. Am I adding complexity? Am I adding stress? Am I adding expectations? Am I placing expectations and pressure on myself that's unnecessary? Bringing it back to the embracing the space. Trimming the fat of the extra things that don't need, there's no need for it. Where can you cut back on how much time and energy and effort you have to put into things, you're putting into things? Because you never have to, it's always a choice. So find more time between activities and tasks. The exhale that you feel when you actually have space between appointments, between meetings, between tasks and events. It is the most liberating feeling, freeing. Instead of filling every moment, try to find more space in between, and quiet in particular. I'm one of those people who loves to be listening to something. And so this is something I've implemented recently. Driving places without anything on. No podcast, no music, just me in the car. Or walking when I walked to Whole Foods earlier. Being present in nature. Being present with your loved ones. There's the connection piece. You'll have more connection when you can be more present. And I just had this chat with another client about Christmas cookies, that this time she did not participate and partake, but she was present with the family while the kids and the grandkids did it. Your presence with them is what really matters. It's not about whether you eat the cookies or not, or whether you actually decorate the cookies or not. And if you have the resolve to be a part of the process with them while they do it without indulging, you indulging is not furthering the experience for anyone. It's about the togetherness. It's about the connection. So let the holidays be about that this year and not about the food. Okay. Finally, winter is about supporting your nervous system, protecting consistency, and adjusting your expectations, not forcing peak performance when your biology is working against you. So, a few little mental health reminders. Low energy does not mean low worth. There's nothing wrong with you because you're tired. You're allowed to rest. You are allowed to maintain your body composition, maintain your strength. You're allowed to not always be improving in everything all the time. Consistency in winter is a win. Mood follows action more often than action follows mood. Don't wait for your mood to change. Take action and your mood will change. Rest is a part of training. This is why we have rest days in our program. Those rest days are part of the training program because recovery is one of the most important parts of training. And then finally, this season will pass. Count those extra 90 seconds of daylight every day from now until summer. Spring will be here before you know it. All right, so I hope that you use some of these strategies to help you get through the rest of this winter. Let me know if you do in the comments. I'm going to drop another resource, a free Winter Mood and Motivation Challenge PDF in the Facebook group tomorrow. So if you're not yet in the Keto Bikini Secrets Facebook group, you can join us. The link is below, and I will be dropping that resource for you all there. And then stay tuned. Next week is going to be our final live chat, Q&A, Ask Me Anything. And I'll do like a New Year, a 2025 recap, and probably a New Year's goal setting or something about how to step into the new year next week. And I will share all the details of our annual challenge, New Year's challenge, the Grace and Grind 2026 4th annual New Year's challenge, which is kicking off January 4th. So I'll share all those deets next week as well. And I hope you all have a Merry Christmas. Enjoy the holidays, connect, spend some time with yourself as well. Self-connection is just as important. Treat yourself well, find some rest and recovery and self-care for yourself in the midst of this hectic season. It can be peaceful and beautiful and restorative. Love y'all. See you next week.